Welcome back. This is episode 167 of the NYYST podcast. I'm your host, Christian, as always, joined by my co-host, Chris.
You.
And he just didn't even want to be here tonight.
We knew. He's at an engagement party.
Yeah, he is.
He's one of your best friends, brothers.
Yeah, and
is my brother's best friend.
Yeah,
one of his best friends.
Yeah, okay, so.
Don't want to offend anyone.
But what do you mean you don't want to offend anyone?
Any of his other friends.
I don't want to say, because you're the one that gets triggered by that type of stuff. So I can understand why you wouldn't want to offend anybody else.
I don't get triggered by anything. I don't really care where I rank in anyone else's life.
Except for the fact that for the last 4 years, I keep having to hear about how you weren't the best man at my wedding.
That just shows me where I rank, right? I'm number 3. Boom. Wow, are we getting fucked up?
Pop. You say you always want to get wild on the show, bro. Late Saturday night recording.
My dude brings hard cider to the podcast to get crazy. Are we getting fucked up right now?
I don't know.
I don't even drink anymore.
Can you get wild off of one hard cider?
Absolutely. If I haven't drank, I don't drink anymore, Jules. You're drunk.
That's like your go-to thing, but it's like not even really funny.
It's from a movie.
I know that. I've seen Superbad probably more times than you have.
Thanks, bro. Pop. It's That Guy Rise missing out. This episode is brought to you by Angry Orchard Hard Cider. Oh, he's got one? We're going to pour one out for him?
We're going to pour one out for him. You say you always want to get wild on the pod.
We got plenty of people we can pour one out for in this episode.
It's late Saturday night. We're going to record before the big Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder rematch. We'll give our predictions for the fight before we sign off, which is kind of useless because you'll hear this Monday morning, but we'll see if we're right or not. We'll get more into it later, but there's a lot of hype around this fight, and it actually got a lot of attention, especially here in New York on Sports Talk Radio.
I'll tell you what, if it's a good fight, I mean, last fight, I haven't watched boxing since I was a kid when boxing was actually good, but
I'm cracking this open.
I'm cracking mine open right now.
Let's go.
I haven't watched boxing since I was a kid, since like Mike Tyson and Holyfield and the ear stuff and all that era. But when you said to get the fight, I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's get it. I actually enjoyed the last fight. And I'm excited for tonight. If it's a good fight, they got enough eyes on this fight that boxing could make a comeback.
I don't even know why we were here doing something. We were here recording or maybe...
No, it was planned. It was planned.
We were here for something, though.
Maybe I agreed to it. I don't normally agree to that shit because I couldn't care less about fighting, boxing.
Isn't one of your kids' birthdays coming up? Maybe we would have been here for something like that.
Doubtful. No, it was just.
But there was a reason why I wanted to watch it last time, and I really hadn't been into boxing that heavy.
Remember our Domino's incident last time? It was awful. Yeah. So my prediction is going to be just pure bullshit, and maybe I'll be right. I don't know. I don't know.
Paying a little bit of attention to it.
I don't know enough about it to give you my true prediction, but maybe I'll be right.
So. We don't want to bore everybody, but hold on a second. If Stat Guy Rye was here, he'd remind us to please request a 5-star rating and review on iTunes.
Absolutely, please.
And subscribe to the show on YouTube.
Listen, just stop right now. Normally, I don't want people to stop listening. Stop listening. If you're listening on iTunes, real quick, bada bing, bada boom, click the review. We got like 200 subscribers on YouTube since our last episode, by the way.
Very nice.
It's a nice gain for us.
We don't want to bore everybody with just nonsense about this stupid cheating scandal, but there's a couple of things that came out over the week, or a couple clips in reference to this scandal that kind of want to go through here and kind of get some reactions to. We won't do a ton of it. We'll just do 3 clips, and it's not even, it's not going to be as, what's the word I'm looking for? As in depth as it was last week. But I think each person that we're going to play a clip from had a specific take on it that I think we should cover here, and then we're going to get into some actual Yankee-related news. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the rundown here. The injuries continue, which we'll get into. Two big components, you would hope big components to the team in 2020 suffered some type of injury setback this week in Aaron Judge and Luis Severino. You also got Rachel Balkovic, if I'm saying that correctly.
I'm going to say Balk, just because it's a baseball term. Balkovic.
Okay, you can go with that. The NBC Nightly News did a little feature on her, which got her out in the public eye this week.
Is she Russian?
I'm not really sure.
She sounds like a fucking... She sounds like a Russian MMA fighter.
Why, did you watch the video?
No. She sounds like... I'm saying her name.
Oh, her name does.
Sounds like a Russian MMA fighter. You said she's jacked up.
She is. She was a strength and conditioning coach at one point for the St. Louis Cardinals, and it definitely shows that she's not a stranger to the gym. So
if there was a boxing match, me versus her, and Vegas had a line out on it, who would win? How much money would you put on her?
I'm not. I just wanted, because I don't bet. It's if you're minus, you're the favorite.
If you're minus anything, you are the favorite.
So she'd be minus 2,500.
That's pretty fucked up.
She'd knock you out, and I would say KO first round. You wouldn't even make it out of the first minute.
And it wouldn't be because I wouldn't hit a woman. It would just be because she would kick my ass.
Yeah. So her name got out there a little bit, even though the Yankees, they hired her a few months back. So we'll touch on her hiring a little bit, and then like we said, we'll give a prediction for the fight. Like we did with the Super Bowl, and then we'll, when you listen back Monday morning, we'll see who was right here.
I wanted to ask you this too while we were recording. I like to listen and react, and we both have said we don't want to overplay it. We don't want to, do it so many times that it's, gets outplayed. But I think we should try like once or twice a month, like make it a segment where we play something, I like this. I liked how it played in last episode. If you didn't listen to our last episode, I thought it was really great how it played out.
Speaking of playing today, the Yankees opened up their exhibition schedule with a 2-1 loss to the Toronto Blue Jays at Steinbrenner Field.
Yankees Twitter was actually pretty funny today.
Yeah, I mean, I can do without the sarcasm though.
Yeah, because you just don't know. You just never know at Yankees Twitter.
Hap, I mean, it's better than not looking good. Hap looked pretty solid today. 2 scoreless innings. And we got to give a shout out to our boy Dan Federico, because what's one guy he said to look out for? Chris Gittens, right?
Yeah, yep. You gave him credit on Twitter. I saw that.
He gave him he accounted for the only Yankee run today with a solo home run. So the Yankees dropped a 2-1 decision.
Was to right field.
Yeah, he went oppo on that one. Showing a little oppo power. So, I mean, you're really not going to take much out of the first spring training game. It was nice to see them out, just to see the Yankees out there playing ball again. The only regulars were LeMahieu, Glaber, Urshela, and if you want to count like a guy like Mike Ford and Higashioka, those are guys that are probably going to make the team that were out there today. Andujar and Voit are traveling Sunday. They'll be in the lineup, so that'll be interesting. The game's not televised, but it'll be interesting to see how.
Game's televised tomorrow?
No, I just said it's not televised.
Oh, you said tomorrow they're traveling. Sorry.
Yeah, the Yankees. And then Garrett Cole will be making his Yankee debut on Monday. And I know a lot of people are freaking out. Like, how can you not televise that game? Because you don't televise every spring training game. And the Yankees,
you can listen to it, right?
It might be streaming somewhere. I saw the schedule. It tells you when it's on the Fan and when it's on YES. It's actually not on either. So I mean, if they're playing the Pirates, so I mean, if you have access to the Pirates, maybe they're broadcasting it in some way. But it's not really.
What if you have MLB TV? Can't you get them on there? I think you can get the spring training games on there.
It depends on what if there's if they're broadcasting or not. You might get that one like single camera view, which is annoying to watch, but it's for people that want to watch it on YES. It's not that big of a deal. You're gonna get to see Garrett Cole plenty this year.
Yeah, you probably don't want to see him tomorrow.
So the reason why he's starting Monday is it lines him up perfectly with opening day.
Beautiful.
So that's the reason why he's pitching on Monday. It will line him up perfectly to go on opening day. So, hopefully there's no roadblocks in the way there, because God only knows with this team and how things are going.
Knock wood, man.
But before we actually get, so the Yankees open up the exhibition schedule, but before we get into anything further with them, let's break down some of this more fallout from the cheating scandal, which, the Astros opened up their exhibition schedule today as well in a World Series rematch with the Nationals, and they started exactly 0 starters today, which I thought was actually against MLB rules, that you had to start X amount of people that would be considered starters on your team.
Just a bunch of cowards.
But, Manfred's been protecting the Astros throughout this, so why wouldn't he continue to protect them in something like this? But let's actually start with the commissioner, because a lot of people in Houston were like, oh, well, we didn't do it in the postseason. Well, you kind of did. So
you kind of did.
The Astros players have said that they were not using the trash can system at that time because you couldn't hear it. How were the Astros relaying signs during the postseason?
The garbage can signaling went on in the postseason. I mean, there was conflicting evidence on that point, but, in an investigation, you often have conflicting evidence, and it was my view that the more credible evidence was that they continued to use the scheme in the postseason.
Can you tell us what that evidence was?
Yeah, it was statements from players.
Statements.
Oh, we won. Well, didn't Correa say we won that legitimately?
You know what that last, and this just came to my head. I listened to that clip a few times. This just popped in my head. Do you know what I would have loved if the players weren't going to get penalized for anything? I would have loved for those statements to be public. Why not? Why not do that?
Because I'm sure,
but don't we deserve to at least
their comments being kept anonymous was probably also part of the immunity of it all.
Yeah, but isn't that the least? I mean, so fine, leave the comments anonymous, leave them anonymous, but let me read their statements.
Because Correa was like, oh, Altuve didn't bang the trash can or take the trash can bang, and then what if somebody said, yeah, Altuve just banged the trash can?
If you wanted to go as far as removing all players' names from any statement and just telling me, at least laying out what these players were admitting was done in some type of fashion, I don't even care which player was doing it. One of them was doing it and all of them knew it. I don't care how many people were doing it. Let me just hear what they had to say. I want to get deeper into this. If they're not going to get penalized, I want to know exactly what the hell was going on.
Well, the point, I don't really care, to be honest with you. We know they did it. We know they did it now. We know they did it during the postseason. So, I mean, I don't really need to know any further specifics.
But don't you feel like MLB's holding back on some stuff?
Yeah, they held back on this. And the only reason why he came out and said, in my opinion, that Manfred came out and said that they did this in the postseason is because he screwed up the initial press conference so badly that he had to kind of throw everybody a bone here and say, oh, yeah, Houston did this in the postseason.
Exactly. So this would have eliminated anything. We wouldn't have been questioning anything. We could have known the full detail. But no, everything's hidden. And the players' statements. Okay. Those mean nothing to me because I don't even know what they said.
Well, you do know what they said. I mean, you're smart enough to realize that what they said was, we did this in the postseason.
Okay, I don't know what's being omitted from what they said. How's that? I don't have a full statement.
Okay. But the reason why I wanted to play this clip today is because I don't want to speak for you, but I would believe that you're on my side on this and saying that you don't want to see the title stripped.
No, I don't. But
no,
I'm saving my butt for the last clip. But no, I don't. As a fan of the game, as a fan of the Yankees, no, I don't. I don't want to see.
But now, we were always, not that anybody really truly believed that they didn't continue to cheat in the postseason, but now that you have the commissioner coming out and confirming it, does it change your mind at all?
No.
About them being stripped of the title?
No, because I assumed it anyway. I assumed, and I think we have every right to assume this, that happened in 2017, in the postseason, regular season, 18 and 19. There is no reason why we should think that this team stopped. Because again, was this something that was told to us when the original report came out? No. So who's to say they weren't doing this shit in 18 and 19? The commissioner went, you know what? This investigation is for 17 right now. Let's leave it at that. This is what we're going to release. Let's not make this bigger than it has to be. The Astros will do that for us when they open their mouths.
I don't want to see the title stripped. I think maybe in the record books you can put an asterisk in there, but at this point, everybody wants to see some sort of punishment. You know the players aren't getting punished here. What would it accomplish by taking the title away? You know, to me, it still doesn't accomplish anything. The confirmation that he cheated in the postseason is just that. It's confirmation.
Can we circle back to this? Can you be sure to circle back to this after we play Stanton's clip? Because I do have something to say that kind of goes against our thoughts and our feelings on it. But I don't want to say it now. I want to wait after Stanton talks.
I mean, if they took the title away, do you feel any better that the Yankees lost in 2017? Does that make you feel
talking to
better?
Me as a fan still. Are you asking me directly?
Yes.
No, it doesn't make me feel any better.
Please tweet us at NYY Sports Talk. Tweet me directly at Christian_NYYST.
Or leave us a review.
Yeah, or leave us a review with this answer. If they strip the Astros of the title, do you feel better about losing the 2017 ALCS? And to me, no. It would actually make me feel worse. I would rather see a champion in there, to be honest with you. Now to say that like this, because basically now that season doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's
you played the whole year for nothing because no one was titled. Give them the fucking title. I don't care. I don't care because I can't go back to that moment. Let me ask you this question. Here's the perfect way to answer all of this. If they stripped the title and said the Yankees, they stripped the title, but they say the Yankees actually advanced to the World Series against the Dodgers and they're going to replay it before the season starts.
How could you even do that?
Okay, just answer the question that you can use the players on your roster now. Who cares? Are you excited for that?
No.
Why?
It doesn't count. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Exactly. So who cares who has the title in 2017?
So you mean to tell me like you would replay a World Series 3 years later if that was something that somebody wanted to come up with?
No, it's a hypothetical question to you to say who cares, because let's just say
the 2017 Yankees didn't earn a World Series.
That's all I'm saying. They didn't. No one really did. But who cares if they got, as fans, we should not care that the Astros have a World Series. It affects us in no way. You can't go back in time. If you told me there was a time machine and we could press a button and go back to 2017 and pull the Astros and the Yankees make it, then fine. But right now, there's no time machine. This is doing nothing. Who cares as fans? Fans.
As maybe, and again, then we'll move on to the next clip, maybe I would feel differently if I saw the Yankees lose 7-6 in game 6 and 7.
I'd definitely be more pissed.
Maybe I would feel a little bit differently about it. But when you don't score and you have no credible evidence that the pitchers were cheating for Houston, I mean, we really don't have a leg to stand on.
No. I would definitely be more pissed if the games were, like you said, 7-6, 10-8. But the Yankees didn't score runs those last two games.
And David Robertson can come out and say whatever he wants about getting hammered in game 6, and that's fine. He can feel however he feels about it. Well, you could have went out there and threw up a goose egg, and the Yankees still would have lost because they didn't score. So, right. I mean... All right, now everybody's favorite around here, David Ortiz, decided he wanted to open up his friggin' mouth about the whole scandal, but this wasn't exactly geared towards how he felt about the Houston Astros cheating. It's about the whistleblower, Mike Fiers.
I'm mad at this guy, the pitcher that came out talking about it, and let me tell you why. Oh, after you make your money, after you get your ring, you decide to talk about it? Why don't you talk about it during the season when it was going on? Why you didn't say, I don't want to be no part of? Oh, now. So you look like a snitch. You know what I mean? Why you got to talk about it after? It's going to be a huge distraction for the game for a while. And you don't want that.
Here's my problem with David Ortiz. You took steroids, okay? You did. Everybody knows it. You can claim that you didn't. Your name came up on the list, but he seems to be one of these guys that skates clean with it.
I think that's irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant because when it comes to cheating and snitching about people cheating, and you're a cheater yourself, this is probably something that you should just keep your mouth shut about.
Yeah, but I think if he came out and said, we need to give the Astros a break and this shouldn't be such a big deal, then I'd be on board.
All right, so let's say he didn't cheat himself. Was he not teammates with a cheater?
Sure.
Why didn't he say anything?
Well, he never said, but he never said it.
That's right. He said he didn't want to be a snitch about it. But
again, but if he came out, he would only be contradicting himself if he came out 10 years later and snitched on people. That's his biggest issue with this.
I understand that. But my point is that when you're a cheater, you don't comment on other people and how they react to cheating.
Is Alex Rodriguez going to comment on it?
And he hasn't, and he's not going to.
No, not once. If he's doing an Astros game, it's not going to come up and he's not going to make his comments. He's gonna.
Why haven't we heard from him?
I mean, come on. There's not one known steroid user who's come out and made comments.
There's certain people that should not comment about these things, and one of them is David Ortiz. He brings up a fair point in saying that why didn't Fires say anything while it was going on? Well, he's not going to. I mean, it's going to benefit him. Now, if you are no longer on the team, you're gonna tell your new teammates about this.
I guess this is why I'm somewhat defending Ortiz on this. I'm not defending him. I just feel like he's not totally in the wrong. And it's because I feel two ways about Mike Fiers right now. Putting aside all the Stanton bullshit, just strictly on this situation, someone needed to do it. Whether he's gonna look bad or good or whatever, someone needed to do this. So that's where I go against Ortiz when he says this is a distraction for the game for a long time. It's not a good thing. No, what's not a good thing is a team cheating other teams for a long time and no one's saying anything. That's truly what's not a good thing. So that's where I go against him. But here's where I kind of am with him with the whole Fiers thing. You know, if you were genuine about it, if you genuinely had an issue with it, why did you go along with it? Because you knew it was working and you knew you were going to get something out of it. Plain and simple. That's where he's always going to be in the wrong.
But see, here's where I kind of side with Fiers a little bit. He's not a snitch in the sense that he didn't snitch on his teammates. He snitched on an opposing team now. Because this is where Houston was kind of, they were kind of like blind to the consequences of this whole thing. Yeah, you're cheating. Your teammates at the time are not going to say anything because it's going to benefit everybody on the team. But we live in a world of free agency. We live in a world where people get traded. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think that now guys were going to leave Houston after 2017 and just be okay with you cheating against them?
This is the only,
especially that Fiers went to a team in the division, right?
So look, this is the only thing I back when the players say Beltran might have had an impact on how they felt towards it. Not bullying them to do it, but it seems pretty clear that one of Beltran's biggest things was everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing it. We got to keep up with the times and whatever. So in that regard, I probably wouldn't have had any concern with a player leaving and snitching. If this is something that's done league wide, then I probably wouldn't have had that thought at the time. But I don't think Fiers is wrong for doing what he did. I just see where people are coming from when they say he's wrong, because you're kind of a hypocrite. You are. No matter what you say, you were part of it. You could have said something, you didn't.
All these people that spoke out against it, though, what do you think they feel about Fiers? Because they're all pissed about the cheating. But if Fiers doesn't open his mouth, then there's really nothing to talk about.
Like I just said, you're going to be right and wrong in this situation. Someone had to do it. Mike Fiers was that guy.
It's ballsy on his part to do it while he's still in the league.
Listen, I respect it more than I think he's, a hypocrite for doing it. I respect him for doing it.
While he's still got a career going on, he decided to do this because normally this is the type of thing that somebody would wait and say once they're retired.
I think he saw the impact, and I think he, not just on the Astros positively, but I think he saw the impact negatively on some other players. And I think it just got to be too much. And we all know he wasn't the only one. He was just the big name that came out and gave the most.
It will be interesting though if the Astros are on Sunday Night Baseball this year, if A-Rod tries to not comment about it, because I think there's a reason why we probably haven't heard from him yet at this point about it, considering we've heard from a lot of people about it. And my whole thing with Ortiz is while he does make some solid points, we really don't want to hear about a cheater.
From a cheater?
About cheating from a cheater.
And I agree with you on that. Look, could he have gotten away with not saying anything? Yeah, it probably would have been best. But I don't disagree with what he's saying. I get what he's saying. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't like Mike Fiers. Maybe he has something against him. Let's see. Who was one of his pals over in Boston? What if it was someone he played with for a few years in Boston?
What if Jason Varitek came out and outed everybody that did steroids on the 04 Red Sox,
Well, that he would be pissed off about too. I'm saying, what if Mike Fiers was, give me a name. What if Mike Fiers was Dustin Pedroia? Would he be saying the same thing? No, he wouldn't.
That's what I was saying about Varitek. What if Varitek snitched on everybody?
No. What if hypothetically Pedroia knew for a fact the Astros were cheating back in 2017 and came out now and said it? Of course, Ortiz would be pissed if any Red Sox came out and ripped on the Red Sox. I'm saying, what if one of his buddies, one of his pals, came out and said it about the Astros? He wouldn't be opening his mouth.
No.
Right?
Probably not.
So maybe it's something personal, too.
No, we know somebody that does have something personal with Mike Fiers, and that's John Carlos Stanton, who, when he reported to camp this week, decided he was going to weigh in on the situation as well.
Do you think Fiers called Stanton and was like, "This is my apology," and then he released the story?
No.
I don't think the penalties were harsh enough player-wise. I think that at the end of the day, it gives more incentive to do that if you're not going to punish the players. They did their investigation and it was clean cut that they cheated that year, which means it should be taken away. I mean, if you cheat in another way during the season, you can't even be in the playoffs, so therefore it would be eliminated. So it's pretty much the same difference. If I knew what was coming in 17, I probably would have hit 80 plus home runs. You know the repercussions of doing something like that, and you're only really sorry because you got caught, not because. And you have all this.
You're not sorry
you
either way.
deal with, not the actual action. So if they don't have discipline from higher ups, then they will have to get police itself.
All right, well, there's three things that we need to discuss regarding this clip from Stanton. Number one being that he makes an excellent point there that if you are caught cheating in other ways, mainly steroids, you're ineligible for the postseason. So, again, does that lead any credence to stripping the title?
No, because let's just say...
it didn't happen in the moment,
that's the point. If A-Rod gets caught 2009, if he tests positive during the playoffs, they're pulling him. But if he tests positive and that test doesn't come back until, midsummer of 2010, they're not going to go back and erase everything he did, right? It's over with. He pays the penalty now. Which these players are not in any way. And here's my point of asking me as a fan, but then after listening to Stanton, I started thinking about it as a player.
The players?
The players. I'd be pretty pissed off, man. I would want to see their title stripped. Because fuck, dude. These guys work their asses off. And hey, when a team wins a World Series, it's not just all parties and popping champagne and parades and everything. What else happens? Well, what else is given to you?
Money.
Yeah. And what do you do with that money? Who do you support?
Your family.
Yeah. So these guys are working their asses off. Imagine you work your ass off to support your family, and some guy just keeps fucking beating you for a bonus every month. Every single month. And you need that bonus. You want that bonus. You work your ass off for it, and then you find out a year or 2 years later that they've been cheating the whole time. Don't you want to see that bonus taken away?
I'm not getting it.
No, no, I know that, but don't you want to say, screw you? I mean, you took it out of my pocket. You should be penalized. Imagine that person did that and they weren't even penalized.
But even if you're taking the title away, you're not getting their bonus money back. So that's...
But just hear me out for 1 second. I'm not... Just put aside what you would get at this point. Wouldn't it infuriate you to see them not even penalized? Let's say that bonus continued because you were now highly regarded and they were getting paid more than you. In some way, wouldn't you want to see that be, even if it's not stripped in some way, shape, or form, just have something that says, no, it wasn't genuine. It wasn't real. That's what these players want. That's why so many of these players are coming out and saying they want the title stripped because they were cheated. Whether they were on a good team or not, they compete just like everyone else, and they were cheated. And the people who are reaping the benefits are not even reprimanded one bit. They're going out there and talking like a bunch of jerk-offs, and it's fine. And the commissioner comes out 2 days later or whatever and still defends them. Yeah, he said, it was a mess. They didn't. But it doesn't matter. He still came out and defended them with the whole hit by pitch shit. So they're still being protected. Imagine that. That's where the players are coming from. And that's where, if I'm a Major League Baseball player, I do want to see something happen. I do.
Well, part two of his comment there is that he said if he knew what was coming, and then that leads all the Stanton haters to come out and say, yeah, he knows every time pitch strike two, he's going to get a slider low and away, and he can't hit it.
Is that I think Maggie Gray?
Yeah, well, she wasn't the only one that started with that. That was all over social media too. So, I mean,
she probably took credit.
Yeah, I mean, the guy. I mean, a bad year for him. He still hit 38 home runs. So, I mean. Anyway,
I'm so sick. I know we can't get into it, but I'm so sick of listening to guys just talk about him like he's nothing. Like on the Fan the other morning, I'm listening to Gio talk, and he's like, Stanton should just keep his mouth shut because he's irrelevant right now. He didn't even play last year. And then I think it was he was on with Jerry Recco, and he said, yeah, but. He played the year before. And then Gio was like, yeah, well, he had a shit year. No, he didn't. He's not irrelevant. He was injured. He's still one of the best players in baseball, right or wrong. Come on. A guy hits 38 home runs with 100 RBIs in his first year while hurt. And he sucks. He's irrelevant.
And part three, which is the main part of the clip that we wanted to discuss, is the when Stan kind of said, well, they're not going to do anything about it. This thing's going to police itself. And, are we going to see beanball wars this year when it comes to the Houston Astros?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Vegas actually set a number at, I believe, 83.5 for the amount of times that Houston will get hit by a pitch this year.
Yeah, that's going over. Because you got to imagine how many are unintentional.
And that's kind of sounds like a high number, but it's right on par with how many times the Mets were hit by pitches last year. So,
were the Mets the most?
I believe the Mets led the league last year, and the Yankees and Astros were the bottom two in terms of hit by pitch. The beanball war is not going to be good for the game. It's just not. I don't really want to see it, to be honest with you. It's not going to accomplish anything.
I don't necessarily want to see it. I don't mind seeing it. I more want to see hostility between the teams, because you go back to any clip, any postseason clip, Judge gets on second base. What's he doing? He's talking and joking with Altuve. Gets to third. He's talking to Bregman. Not anymore. I want to see that interaction. I want to see what it's like for these players on the field together.
I just, what are you going to do? Just going to start throwing at guys? What are you going to?
I think some guys take it a little more personally than others, and I think that's going to be how they kind of react to the situation.
What teams are going to feel more like, be more likely to do something like that? Do the Detroit Tigers care about Houston cheating? It's like just for a team that you don't really hear, you haven't heard anything about. Do they really care? Are they going to go out there and be like, oh, we're just going to start throwing?
I mean,
and I'll say this for anybody out there, because Josh Reddick came out and said that he's receiving death threats, and somebody wrote a letter saying that he wished cancer on his kids. Let me just say this. The Houston Astros cheated at a baseball game.
Yes.
Okay? You have to learn that in the grand scheme of things, wishing death upon people's children for cheating at a baseball game?
So wrong. Beyond wrong. But did he show you the letter? Do we know for sure?
But knowing what you know about being on the internet, do you really think it didn't happen?
Maybe to the extent he said. I don't know if I fully believe him. I think
because I've seen enough out there to fully believe that people on the Houston Astros have received death threats.
Whether
about
it's true or not, if you're doing it and if you think it's that extreme, you need to check yourself in somewhere.
It's seriously not that.
Because it's not.
It's really not that important to be wishing death upon people for cheating at a baseball game.
You want to say Reddick's a scumbag douche? He is. I don't like him at all. His statement. Let's see. This is what he wants. He wants us to be distracted from his real statement, which was we have to shut them up, and we'll do that on the field this year in 2020.
Yeah, he's a cheater at baseball, but this is a grander societal thing where you don't go around wishing death upon people for doing something that is, in the terms of the real world, is not just.
What if you do it to yourself, like joking? If you're like, oh, I fucking hate that jerk off. Hope he dies.
Like you do all the time?
Yes. I don't really hope it most of the time. I would never. Listen, in all seriousness, if you're doing shit like that, come on, man. Take a step back and just realize what the fuck you're doing. If this guy's really getting death threats, which, again, I don't need to believe him. I'm not going to pity him.
Well, Jeff Passan wrote a story about it, so I got to think there's some credibility there to it. Or else he wouldn't.
Listen, I'm sure there is. I don't pity him at all, but I do think it's wrong. That should never fucking happen, ever.
And especially leave the guy's family out of it.
Seriously. You want to do it to him, that's bad enough. Keep the kids out of it. Keep his wife out of it. She's annoying too, though.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we can put a bow on this and hopefully never talk about it again, but I'm sure something else will come out again this week. We're still waiting for the results of the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, we should hear this
investigation in 2018, so I'm sure that'll dominate the airwaves next week, so that should be fun.
I did want to say one thing, because you made a point with like the Tigers. Do they really care? Who's the most outspoken person that's saying that they're going to get retaliation?
Is that like Mike Clevenger?
Yeah. And why? Because for people who don't know, the Indians did have a claim put in that they felt the Astros were cheating them when they were playing. So, yeah, maybe he's taking it a little more personally than others. Maybe he's got a couple screws loose. Seems like it a little.
Well, he's on the injured list right now, so I don't know when the Astros and Indians are going to play, if he'll be back in time for that. So he might miss his chance.
Speaking of injuries.
Yeah. It didn't start off, this week didn't start off so great with the news that Aaron Judge, when he reported to camp, was being scratched for a shoulder situation.
Now it's the last thing on your mind.
Because it's actually I didn't really check up on it after I heard the news that he was actually going to be in the cage on Friday. So,
did he swing though? I saw him in the cage. I saw him taking live BP, but not swinging, just to get a look, to get a feel.
I heard he was taking swings.
No, I'm not saying it was Friday. It could have been Thursday when he was just looking. I haven't seen any footage of him actually swinging, so I didn't know. But
This doesn't seem too concerning.
No, and even if it was like a little concerning, it's still the last thing on your mind. It really is. Because Judge missing 20 games is a lot less concerning than Paxton and Severino missing God knows how many. For how many months? I mean, Jesus. 2 big blows back to back. Hey, remember when Hap was our 5th starter and we were fine with it? And then he was our 4th, so we had to just kind of eat it. Guess what, folks? Now he's your 3rd. And that's my problem. That's where I start to kind of hold my breath a little bit. And again, it's not that the Yankees can't sustain any type of success throughout the regular season.
Aaron Judge hit off a tee on Friday.
Okay.
And he gave Aaron Boone a thumbs up when he was done, and then he went on, and then Boone went on to say everything is moving the way that it should.
Heard that before.
He hasn't taken full cuts since arriving in camp when he reported shoulder soreness in his right shoulder, but as Boone went on to say, it was a good day for him. Boone also went on to say that they won't be in a rush to put him in a game because of where we are in the calendar, but he thinks he's pretty much good to go. So it might even sound like if this was the regular season, he'd be playing. This is just because we're at, right now it's February 22nd, and there really is no rush to.
If you're in August right now, he's playing. He's playing through it.
And then this leads to, but this is where this opens up Aaron Judge to criticism when people complain that he's injury prone. Again, you're counting 2018 in him being injury prone, which was not really fair to him. Because if he didn't miss all that time in 2018, do you say that he's injury prone? No,
assuming that he doesn't break the hand and he stays healthy the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even thinking about it.
He needs to give you 145 to 150 games this year. That is without question. He's got to be on the field for at least that many games this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 guys that stand out to me as injury prone. Position player wise, and I'm not even going to throw Stanton in there because Stanton again, it was like all over last year. It was his knee, it was whatever, it was all over the place, freak things. But the 2 guys who stand out to me, can you guess them? I mean, they probably
Gary's one of them.
Yeah, and the other guy you probably can't even think of because he's fucking injured.
Is Aaron Hicks?
Yeah. So those are the 2 guys that you want to talk injury prone. Those are the guys that come to my mind. It's not Aaron Judge yet. But I'm starting to question it. I mean, let's see how he comes back and rebounds. And, if he stays the course here and he comes back healthy and it doesn't give him issues where he's missing time throughout the year. I'm telling you right now, Judge misses significant time over the shoulder, then I'm going to start saying, yeah, maybe he is.
I think we're a little too early for some of the hot takes we heard this week about the Yankees having to move on from him, too. So I think we can just put that to bed.
So happy I don't listen to most people anymore.
How quickly we forget.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody that we really, I don't think that the Yankees need to move on from him, but his Yankee career, if things are headed down this path, could be over before we even really saw the potential. And that is Luis Severino, who was shut down complaining about forearm tightness, and automatically everybody goes to Tommy John surgery before. And then not only that, but how stupid the Yankees and their doctors are. He would have pitched in who said this today? I think I heard it on The Fan. Sweeney might have said it, that if there was a Game 7, Sevy was taking the ball.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother him when he throws a slider. It doesn't bother him when he throws his fastball.
Really?
It bothers
doesn't bother him when he throws a slider?
Nope. He only feels it when he throws his changeup.
Okay, that's good then. Because my biggest concern was throwing that slider. That's how I popped my elbow out. the motion that you use and come down with your wrist, it tugs on that tendon. And I thought, and I do need Tommy John. If I was actually making money pitching, I would have had to have gotten Tommy John. I need it. But the first pain was in my forearm. So that's why it scared me immediately when I heard it. But if it's not giving him pain when he's throwing his slider, just his changeup, I mean, that's a completely different pain. That's your wrist facing up and the ball sliding up out of your hand, whereas the slider coming down and it yanks on that tendon in the forearm that leads to whatever pulls when you need Tommy John. That's at least a positive thing. That's a silver lining, I guess you can say.
Well, what makes me concerned about Luis Severino is that, let me just find the exact words that Brian Cashman.
Oh, when he said, Cashman?
Cashman said, he said that it could, quote, be significant and that it's, quote, possible that Severino starts the year on the injured list. Now, Yankees never came out and made any bold statements like that about Aaron Judge's injury. They did about Luis Severino's injury. Now, here's another thing that you need to know about Luis Severino. He's had several tests done since the Yankees were eliminated. They don't find anything.
Yeah.
So now on Monday, he's going to go for 3 days of testing. And so we should know something by late Wednesday, Thursday, about what his status is. Now, I'm telling you right now, if I had to bet, he's going to have surgery this year. And it's maybe not as severe as Tommy John, but he does have that loose, they call it a loose body in the elbow. It's like a bone chip or something. If nothing else, they're going to go in there and clean that out.
Maybe he has carpal tunnel. Maybe.
And if he goes to go and get that cleaned out, what's he get? Oh, no, Chris, there's a fly in here. You're going to have a heart attack?
Oh, geez. That's a big one.
If he goes and has, that cleanup, if they don't, if it's not Tommy John, what's he going to miss? A month, 2 months, maybe? Still not something you want to see, but it's a pretty good sign, though, or prognosis.
Yeah, but I mean, each year with this guy, we're like, okay, this has to be his year. Sevy has to, really show us something. What is this? He just handed me a piece of paper.
Did I?
Wow.
How far off were you? You were pretty far off.
So far off. Thanks, pal.
So if he goes in there for the cleanup, you're not happy that he might miss a couple months. But again, it might be a Paxton type thing where, you're seeing him in late May, June. And that's not too bad. It really isn't. So we'll just see from there. Again, if he has Tommy John surgery, I don't even want to think about it. Because then the Yankees really probably need to go out there and...
What's the status of his contract right now?
This is the second year of the 4-year extension that he signed.
Okay. So
the first year was a wash. You want the second year to be a wash, and possibly guys come back from Tommy John differently, so he could, 2.5 years or 4 years.
Yeah, and then it's like, can you still move him if he doesn't pitch this year? If you really wanted to move him for a couple pieces, yeah, probably. But A, who the hell are you getting back? And B, why not just at that point let the guy ride it out and see if he could stay healthy and do something? So if he comes back and they say, fuck it, let's see if he could do something, and he does shit, he's just completely lost his value anyway.
And it's like you said, and it's like we keep saying, you didn't want, and so it's the same thing with CC Sabathia. You didn't want Happ to move past the 5th starter spot. Well, Paxton's hurt, so now he became the 4th starter. Now Sevy's hurt, now he became the 3rd starter. And, I really think that the Yankees want Jordan Montgomery to take a spot, and Jonathan Loáisiga is actually out of options, so he's got to make this team out of spring training. And you hear that the Yankees might like him. They might like openers.
Loáisiga's out of options?
Yeah, I didn't know that. I heard that on the broadcast today, that he's out of options. So he's going to be on the team. I mean, I can't imagine any scenario where the Yankees designate this guy.
No. They like him.
They also like Sessa. I mean, Sessa's a guy who can give you maybe 4 innings to start the year. Maybe you can stretch him to 5. I mean, we saw a better Luis Sessa in 2019 than we probably had in his Yankee career up to that point. He was more consistent I would say.
I did another show this week. I did an interview on another show, and one of my points was, again, I'm not freaking out because I still am confident in this Yankees team, even with these guys injured through the regular season. The problem is you were excited to see them all. I mean, we were excited to have one of the strongest rotations in baseball. But the second reason is that there was just such a good balance to this rotation, where we were like, you know what, we got a couple guys right now who can eat some innings, and maybe if you don't have to use the opener anymore, so now maybe we could keep most of our bullpen guys fresh. Now, I mean, I don't care who you throw in these spots. You're throwing guys out there that you don't know what they're capable of, and you're going to be running through guys every other time these starters are out there. You're going to be running through bullpen guys. You can't trust that these guys can go out there and eat significant innings for you. That's 2 spots in your rotation now that are almost like openers. That's where my concern is, because that is a direct effect to the freshness of the bullpen arms down September, October, when it matters.
Well, Paxton's on the mend. I heard today within 10 days they expect him to start playing catch, which is a good sign.
Yes. So hopefully it's the shorter end of that time frame. And the Yankees might be very, very cautious this year with timelines, where, if they tell you 6 weeks, maybe it's really only 3 or 4, but they'd just rather be safe right now because of the history of last year with these shitty timelines. Maybe he's going to progress much quicker than we think.
You were okay. Not that you were okay with it, but Paxton, you were like, okay, you know what? I'll live with it. Now, you had the Severino news on top of it, and now you're going Cole, Tanaka, Hap, question mark.
It's tough.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, who was the ace last year? We didn't really have one. Yeah. At least you got that horse at the top of the rotation this year.
Right.
You still got Tanaka. You still got Hap. I like those 3 better than when you were throwing Tanaka, Hap, CeCe out there last year. Who else was a starter for this team last year? I can't even think of who. Paxton. Obviously Paxton, but Paxton was pretty much lost for a good portion of the year,
and he missed time.
And he did miss time. So I do, even still having Cole at the top of the rotation, you still feel good. Not great. But I did see they broke, and I couldn't get a screen grab of it. I wanted to, but I couldn't grab it in time. I couldn't pause the TV in time. It actually broke down half starts last year. He had 2 10 start stretches where he pitched to a sub-4 ERA last year.
One of them was alongside Paxton.
Towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
He was actually pretty good.
When Paxton had his 10 or 11 straight win starts where he had an ERA under 2, Hap was also pitching brilliantly.
The problem with Hap is that when he's not on, he's off. He's not on.
He doesn't exist.
There's no way for him to pitch well when he doesn't have good stuff that day.
Right.
But if you want to take any type of encouragement out of it, he actually had better stretches than bad stretches last year, more good stretches than bad stretches last year.
Yeah.
It's just that his bad stretches are bad.
Yeah, and I think we had higher expectations of Hap last year because of what he did when he first came here. But
plus juice balls,
right,
fly ball pitcher.
Right. And here's the biggest thing.
You want to look at it that way too?
Here's the biggest thing. We talk about the Yankees in the postseason this year and that, they got Cole, but on top of that, no team should really challenge them. Let's transfer that to the regular season as well. What teams out there are you really that the Yankees can't overcome some pitching injury that they're really going to, dig themselves into a hole? There's really not many teams out there this year. This year is very watered down and very top heavy. And it was last year, but I think it is even more this year.
It's just how much how big of a threat do you think the Rays are going to be this year? They won 96 games last year.
Yeah.
Do you think they're better? Do you think the Yankees are going to come down from 103?
I see the Rays winning right around the same mark, 94 to 96. this year.
Are the Yankees going to be close to 100? Because then if they are, they're going to win the division rather easily.
I think the Yankees are going to be over 100 again. I do. There's just, again, it's not even as so much as the Yankees being so great. It's that the competition isn't there. I mean, honestly, look at the entire Central Division right now. Who's the biggest threat? The Indians? Is Kluber?
Well, no, Minnesota is. I mean, obviously.
Dude, let's not talk about Minnesota.
You want to say who the biggest threat is? It's not going to be the Indians. The Indians are definitely in a rebuild mode after trading Kluber. And
White Sox are on the rise, but they're nowhere near ready to be any type
and
of
the
threat.
Royals and Tigers are terrible. They're just trash teams.
So that's a whole division pretty much. Because, yeah, the Twins are good, but the Yankees own the Twins. That's a whole division you're just dominating. And then you even want to go to the West, right? The Astros, who, don't get me wrong, could be great again this year, but who knows what kind of effect this takes on them, what kind of toll.
They're big. If you don't even think that the cheating scandal is going to affect them on the field, their biggest question mark is their starting rotation after losing Garrett Cole. If Justin Verlander is going to be an ace, then they're probably going to be really good this year. If he's going to finally get old, then they're not going to, I don't think they're going to be very good this year. Even if you don't take the cheating into the way the scandal affects them into account, if he's not going to be good, I think they're going to be as good as Justin Verlander is.
Look, the way this league is set up this year, really good teams are going to be great teams, are going to play as great teams, and really great teams were going to be unstoppable. The Yankees were supposed to go into this year as a really great team and really steamroll. And right now we've just gone down to a really good team, which I'm fine with. But it's going to affect the win column, and it's really our only concern, and our biggest concern is going to be how many games can the Rays win again. You're right. I mean, that's really it. Other than that, can they still win the division if Paxton and Sevy miss significant time? Yeah. Can they win a World Series without those two? I don't know. I mean, I just don't know.
I don't know if you can win a World Series with Garrett. I mean, Garrett Cole, Tanaka, and Happ as your three starters.
No, I mean you'd have to make some type of move to have a solid three. But
I think Paxton will be back and fine. I just worry about Severino, and like we said, we really won't know anything till midweek.
One good thing about Paxton, yeah, he's hurt all the time, but he bounces back nicely. I mean, he dealt with that knee shit after he came back, but he worked himself through it, and look at how dominant he was.
It took him a while to figure out how to pitch with the brace and everything.
Yeah,
the
but
pain and
it's not like he set back and went back on the IL and missed more significant time. He worked through it, and he recovered well. More than well. I mean, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball for 10, 11 games.
Next week, we'll give a little preview of the show here. We do want to get into the Gardy Stalker story that came out this week, but we'll wait till Stat Guy Rise here because he's got a close personal connection with Gardy, so we'll get his take on it. And also next week, we've been saying that we're going to do this, and unless something major bombshell again with this stupid scandal, or we got to break down what happened with the Red Sox happens and takes over the show, we're going to use, and I didn't run this by Chris, but I don't think he'll have a problem with it. We're going to use Fred's projections on Baseball Reference to play a little over-under with some of the Yankees.
I like that.
And we're going to post some polls on our
For first-time listeners, can you explain who Fred is?
Fred is the algorithm that we named. Well, we named him Fred. We named the algorithm that Baseball Reference uses
we personified him
to make projections for the 2020 season. We named him Fred,
and he's an alcoholic, and he hates the Yankees.
I don't know if he's an alcoholic. I think he just hates the Yankees.
Both.
So we'll use some of Fred's projections, and we'll put them out there as over-under numbers for the significant players on this team, and we'll let you vote on them, and then we'll discuss them on the show next week. Maybe we'll do it in two parts. We'll do the pitchers and then the hitters. We'll see how I decide to go along with that. Maybe
pitchers and hitters.
It might be too much to do everybody in one show.
We'll pick like significant guys.
Yeah.
I guess
but,
they're all pretty significant though right now.
I mean, you still might come up with 20 names, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see how. Well, you know, there's a little look ahead to next week. But just to close out the show here, we did want to talk about Rachel Balkovic. However you say, we don't want to disrespect her by saying her name incorrectly, but I don't also want to bring up the clip to get the proper pronunciation. But she's a female hitting instructor, hitting coach that the Yankees hired for their minor leagues. She's one of 3 female coaches in Major League Baseball in 2020. She's also believed to be the first full-time female coach employed by a Major League team. This is her 3rd stop in the Major League. She was a strength and conditioning coach with the St. Louis Cardinals. She also had a job. I don't recall exactly what she did with the Houston Astros. Maybe she was the trash can banger.
Maybe.
We don't really know.
Balkovic.
So
I was right.
Her name, as we said earlier in the show, her name came out really in the news this week because NBC Nightly News did a feature on her. So I figured we'd just bring it up briefly. I have absolutely zero problem with the Yankees hiring a female coach, like zero. And I really detest anybody that does. For the fact that she's a female. I detest anybody that has that take on it.
Absolutely.
To be honest with you.
If she was just hired because she's a female and the Yankees at their core don't really believe she's fit for the job.
But I also don't think the Yankees would do something
That's a problem. No. Just because she's a woman.
And the Yankees are actually kind of progressive in that way because Brian Cashman was the first one to have an assistant GM be a female. He had Kim... her last name is just NG. I think it's just pronounced Eng.
Eng.
So she was Gene Afterman also. He's had women in the front office before it. So it's not like something that he's opposed to doing something like this.
No, look, from everything I've heard, she's phenomenal. And if she is that good and that passionate and works that hard, I don't care if she's a female, male, whatever. I don't really care. That's awesome. I'm just not the type of person because I don't judge people based on gender, race, anything. I just want to see what she's made of. I want to see her results.
If she got the job based on merit,
absolutely.
Then why should I have a problem with it because she's a woman?
Right.
If the Yankees are doing this as a publicity stunt, that I have a problem with. Because why are you
exactly? Then it's a problem to me, not because she's a woman, but it's a problem to me because it's not right for her. It's not right to her. It's not fair to her.
What I didn't really care for in the piece is that she admitted to changing her name to Ray when she was applying for jobs because when she went as Rachel, she wasn't getting callbacks, so she kind of had to snake around the system a little bit. But in fairness to her, also, like, she's kind of feeling like, hey, I'm not getting the proper respect because
I like that though.
Because I am a woman, and this kind of did get her foot in the door to get a job in Major League Baseball, and now as a full-time coach with the Yankees.
So you know what that proves to me? That she's got something special. She just needed to get her foot in the door somehow.
And what do you really know about her? Just by watching the video, it seems like, another minor league hitting instructor or coordinator or whatever they called them had high praise for her, but I don't think he'd be in the piece if she sucks,
Right.
Here's my point, right? Everybody that came out this week and said, it's a disgrace to have a female in Yankee uniform. No, it's not. And I guarantee you, the minute, even though she's working with minor leaguers, let's say that she happens to be in camp one day, right? And she shows Gleyber Torres something with his toe tap, and Gleyber Torres goes on this tear where he's like hitting 900.
And credits her for it.
And credits her for it. And says,
hero.
And they say, Gleyber, it seems like you worked on your toe tap this year, and you're having the massive success with it. Oh yeah, Rachel helped me with that. Everybody that had a negative thing to say about her will praise her like she's the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
And that is what I have a problem with, because now right now she has nothing to to back up. So everybody, all these misogynists and assholes are just like, oh, she's a woman. She shouldn't be, the Yankees shouldn't hire a woman.
I'll be honest.
But the second that a major player comes out and credits her for something, then nobody will have a problem with that, right?
I'm in no way, shape, or form a misogynist by any means. It's just different. Like it's different. It's not because I think she's incapable in any way. It's just different. It's a change. We've never seen it. So I understand if it's odd to you, if it feels weird to you. As long as you're not sitting there saying, oh, a woman can't do this job. A woman shouldn't be doing this job. If you want to say, wow, that's different. I mean, you got to take a second to kind of...
You know what was weird about it? Seeing a person wearing a Yankee uniform having a ponytail. That was what was weird about it. Yeah. Especially considering the Yankees' policy on hair.
Yeah. They're going to have to really
Are you surprised that the Yankees didn't ask her to cut her hair?
Yeah. Well, no, but they're going to have to get rid of it now. They have to. You can't let a woman have hair down her back and not a man. You can't. You can't.
Is that what's going to lead to change?
Yeah. There was this kid who... it became this whole big story in this country, of course, but he had long hair and he went to a private school that had restrictions.
The wrestling kid, and he made him shave his hair during the match.
No, it wasn't a wrestling kid. Definitely wasn't an athlete. And he was like, and he flipped out. He was like, "Why can't I have long hair? And the girls can. That's fine." Just because I'm telling you, no Yankee would do that. I'm just saying that realistically, they should just get rid of that no hair past the shoulder bullshit.
I still don't think they should get rid of it because we don't need to see the Yankees looking like friggin' cavemen and unkempt bums. I mean, she still looks like she...
Did you just picture Johnny Damon in your head?
I did. That's the exact guy that came into my brain. And again, this is what we talked about when we discussed the Kobe tragedy, is that your personal standing and affects the way you think about things. Not to say that I would have ever been an asshole and said, "Oh, fuck women," they shouldn't be coaches in the major leagues. But again, now I'm having a daughter, and I'm like, who the fuck are you to tell women that they can't do shit? Yeah. That my daughter can't do something because she's a woman?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't feel that. I definitely don't feel that way now. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, listen.
And I'll be dead honest with you. If she could hit 35 home runs or, go out there and close 40 games a year,
I don't care. I don't care what you got.
Because you want to know what I care most about? More than females and males and who's in uniform? Winning. Whether or not those people can contribute to the Yankees winning.
That's it. And to your point before that I was making my point before. It was weird for me, like, even just listening to Susan Waldman in the booth or, Jessica Mendoza when she was doing Sunday Night Baseball. It's different. You're not used to it. I'm open to getting used to it, and I have. And I actually love Susan Waldman now. I couldn't stand her. I respect her more than probably anyone who does that job. It's just different. Separate your feelings. Don't be an asshole. Don't say she can't do it because she's a woman.
Or she shouldn't do it because she's a woman.
I'm telling you right now, any guy who's saying that, go take BP against her. I guarantee you she'll fucking rock every single ball that's thrown to her while your dumbass is striking out and out of breath.
Well, are you going to be out of breath when you get because you might have some PTSD watching this fight in a little bit here.
I actually thought about it because I saw a little highlight before. I might. Pop.
We'll end the show here. If anybody's not interested in boxing, maybe you might want to tune out here because after we're done talking, we're just going to wrap up the show. So thank you for listening up to this point. But it's a big fight. As anybody that's followed me and followed the show knows how big of a fan of Rocky I am. So you really can't like that without being a fan of the actual sport of boxing. So, I mean, it's like anything else when it's not, if it doesn't present interesting storylines and interesting fights, you kind of don't watch it as much. But I do have DAZN, I do have ESPN Plus just for the fact to watch more boxing. And while you're not getting super great fights on there, you do see some interesting fights on there. And this is a big fight. The Fury Wilder rematch is a big fight. We watched that fight. That was one of the, and in this country, the heavyweights are what drives the boxing division.
Sure.
I mean, if you watched Rocky, Sylvester Stallone didn't look like a heavyweight boxer, but there was a reason why they billed Rocky as a heavyweight. It's because that movie and would not have carried the same clout if they was going after the middleweight title. You know what I'm saying? And especially in the era when Muhammad Ali, who Apollo Creed was kind of based off of, was such a big superstar in this country. So
I'm going to contradict myself because I say that anyone who doesn't like baseball because there's not enough action and all that bullshit, you just don't appreciate the sport. Well, I'm going to come out and say I don't know enough about boxing to appreciate it, to know what goes into it. I prefer watching the heavyweights fight because as good as what's a douchebag's name?
Floyd Mayweather? Is that who you're looking for?
Yeah. As good as Floyd Mayweather is, I get bored watching him.
Because he's not looking to get into a slugfest.
He's looking to tire you out and move around the ring, and then he gets you.
He's a boxer. He's not a fighter. There's a difference between those two things.
Right.
Just like when they say, you know, this guy's not a pitcher, he's a thrower, because he's just looking to throw gas and strike you out.
Right.
And a pitcher is a guy that's looking to set you up and
Chapman went from
being a thrower to a pitcher.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Chapman went from a heavyweight to whatever the fuck he is. Anyway, I'm not saying he's not phenomenal and that I don't appreciate how talented he is. I'm watching boxing to watch people get hit. I want to see a good
guy like
fight.
Floyd Mayweather is trying to win on points. That's what he's trying to do. He's not trying to knock guys out.
And
If a knockout happens, a knockout happens. But he's a guy that he wants to box. He doesn't want to get into a slugfest with somebody.
He's so quick and he's in such good shape. His main strategy is to frustrate you, tire you out, and then use his quick hands to knock you out.
And that's what's so interesting about this fight tonight is that Fury is a boxer while Wilder is a fighter. So you got a guy like Fury who's going to try to outbox somebody, outpoint somebody, versus Wilder who's just looking to knock you the hell out.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a famous gif now, you know, and people went wild with the Undertaker references. Tyson Fury looked like he was dead, and he shot up like the Undertaker in that first fight. That's why it was memorable, and that's why I think a lot of people are looking forward to it.
What else did he do?
What do you mean?
What else did Fury do?
In that fight?
No, since then.
Well, he's masturbated a lot.
That's crazy. Is that real?
He says it is.
Why wasn't I jacked through high school then?
Because you also didn't train. You were probably just jerking it and just sitting around eating Cheetos while he actually goes to the gym afterwards. Anyway.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah. So, people that are predicting a Wilder victory are predicting knockout, within 4. And people that are predicting a Fury victory are predicting, like it's going to the scorecards, which I'm not saying I'm a boxing expert, but what I know about it, I would say that's pretty accurate because Wilder's going to go for the knockout while Fury is the type of guy who's going to want to outbox you. So I think it probably will be a situation where if Fury's going to lose, he's going to lose early. If he's going to win, he's going to win late. In my official prediction...
Wilder's at his heaviest weight, by the way.
Is he?
Yeah.
My official prediction on this fight is I just think that I'm going to go Fury KO 11, and I think that maybe the conventional wisdom is to say that he'll win in if he is going to win, he'll win via decision. But I think that Wilder is looking to prove something after he couldn't knock Fury out. And if Fury's going to outbox him and, the fight's going to go deep again, maybe Fury catches him.
So you think if Wilder wins, he wins in 12 rounds?
No, I think if Fury wins, it'll be late. I think if Wilder wins, it'll be early. But my official prediction is Fury KO 11.
My prediction is going to be Fury in a knockout. I don't know what round. I just am pretty confident in that. that he's going to win by a knockout. And I think if Wilder wins, it's going the distance, actually. I think it's going to go 12. I don't see Fury getting knocked out by this guy. He's a nutcase. This guy's out of his mind. He's not getting knocked out.
First fight, I didn't really know too much about Tyson Fury, so I didn't really root for anybody. If anything, I think we were leaning towards Wilder just because he was the American fighter, and that's usually what I do. I usually root for the American fighters because I am American. So if I don't have a rooting interest one way or the other, I'll root for an American fighter. But since the first fight. And the fact that he came back from where anybody else would have gotten knocked, would have just stayed on the canvas, and he got back from that, and the fact that he did WWE in the meantime, and the fact that in his last fight he came out dressed like Apollo Creed. I mean, he's a man after my own heart right there.
Didn't he come back from something crazy too? Like, wasn't he out of boxing for a certain reason?
He had like a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you chalk all that up, and the fact that Greg Giannotti, who I really don't like, is a big Wilder fan, and he stands him so hard, as the kids say, I'm definitely rooting for Fury in this fight.
You know what? I'm glad you just said that. You know how we hate the term stan?
Yeah.
Did that come about because of the song Stan?
It may have. I don't really.
Did.
I mean, I don't know the origin of it. I mean,
it had to have.
When did that CD come out? In 2000, 2001? I mean, this is a relatively new term.
Yeah, it's definitely that, though.
But you think kids that came up with that shit know who Eminem is?
Yeah.
They don't know the real Eminem. Like the good Eminem.
No. They know, like, a little bit overweight, bearded, dark-haired Eminem.
Yeah.
They don't know
where he attacked. Yeah. Where when he made fun of the president in raps, it was fun and not because he wanted to incite riots.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That Eminem, like
I think you know what I think. I think Fury did a much better job marketing himself. I know way more about Fury's life and what he puts into this than I do about Wilder. I don't know much about Wilder at all. I really don't.
The only thing I know about Wilder is that if Greg Giannotti could divorce his wife and marry Deontay Wilder, he would. That's what I know about him.
Yeah. And he's been on the show, right?
Yeah.
He has been on the show.
Like I said, he stands him so hard. I mean, like we're really getting some clout with like the 18-year-olds right now by using that terminology. So,
does your wife know about the paper you handed me?
The what?
The paper you handed me?
Yes, I told her.
Can my wife know eventually?
Eventually.
Not right now.
No, I'm saying eventually, like, let me think about it.
Right.
I don't know.
Don't worry. She doesn't listen to the show unless I tell her to. So, doesn't matter.
The warning I put on there is because I didn't want you to blurt what was written down into the microphone.
Oh, the shut the fuck up about it?
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, we'll see what happens. Like we said with the Super Bowl, it's kind of pointless to break down a fight or a game, and then when you listen to it, it'll be not a day old. But we're recording before, so
let's end the show with this. It's official.
What's that?
Stan, an overzealous fan of a celebrity, is in the dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary credits Eminem with the origin of the term, acknowledging that Stan stems from the 2000 song "Stan" by the American rapper Eminem about an obsessed
That was
man.
a good call by you.
I seriously had no idea. I thought of it the other day when I was reading something out loud. I was like, maybe it's Stan, like Stan from Eminem.
It does make.
And we're probably the only two assholes in the entire country who didn't know that. So
because I
I
despise that term. I despise it. Like, I hate when people say that. Oh, I stan this person. Like, no,
I hate it.
You're a fan of that.
I'm a Glaber stan. No, you're a fucking fan.
You're a fan of the guy. I stan him. Oh,
so you stalk him and you fucking kill your family for him?
Yeah, and then you drove your car into a river because he wouldn't sign an autograph for you?
You fucking, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, loser.
Okay, so are you...
We're kidding.
Oh, you're drunk now.
Me? I am a little tips.
Okay. 5% alcohol by volume, and Chris is drunk.
No, I can drink like a maniac. I just choose not to.
I was gonna actually stop and get a bottle of whiskey on the way here.
I got whiskey here.
I
have scotch. I love scotch.
Scotch in my belly.
I go scotch on the rocks, bro.
I'm not a big scotch guy. I'm a big whiskey drinker, though. Anyway, let's wrap up the show here. We'll keep it under an hour and 30 minutes today, so everybody should be happy about that. As we said, next week we'll do some over-unders. We'll bring in Stat Guy Rye for the Gardy Stalker story, and
that should be fun.
And hopefully no more cheating. But it probably will be, because we'll probably hear something about
forget it. It's gonna be a fucking mess, dude.
We'll hear about the Red Sox.
We will.
So thank you for listening to episode 167. And we've been promising this for 2 weeks. We will have a promo code. We will have new merch. We had to do a redesign.
We had a little setback.
We had a little setback.
Then my kids got sick.
So it is coming. It will be here this week. We promise. We'll definitely make it worth your while. So thank you for listening to episode 167. Follow us on Twitter at NYY Sports Talk. That guy, Rye, is drunk on a train.
So drunk right now. He doesn't even know what he's texting us.
Yeah, just gibberish. Thank you for listening. Chris, say goodbye.
Peace.